Hello, everyone. We are now live with Jamie Lawrence, Bradford City legend, Bradford City fan as well. My co-host Chris is here as well. So how are we doing, Jamie? Right, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you, lads? All right?
Very good. Yeah, we're good. We're good. We're even better for speaking to you. Absolute legend, mate. We should be bowing down to you, to be honest with you. So you're actually up north. I mean, we're doing this via a live, obviously, but you're up north, aren't you?
I am up north. Yeah, come up. My ex-missus passed away a little while ago. I'd come up to surprise the mum and dad. They had a dinner. Never knew I was coming. It just turned up. And it made their day, to be fair.
Love that. Says a lot about your character, mate. And it's just a shame you're in Leeds. I mean, wasn't there any hotels in Bradford? Do you not fancy it?
They was in Halifax and all that. So yeah. I'm gonna catch up with Isaiah Rankin and that as well. So he lives in Leeds. So
right. Nice. Yeah, I remember him. He signed from Arsenal, didn't he? I think.
Yes, he signed for Arsenal for about 1.1.
Yep.
And I looked after him when he come up there, and he ended up buying a house around the corner from me.
Did he?
Yeah.
Nice. And just talking about players, and so who do you still speak to? Like, who are you close with from back in the day?
Most of them speak to Moro, speak to Jakes, Andy Myers. Andy Myers was at my house the other day. I speak to Ranks. Now and again, Macca. I speak to most of the lads. That's the change room we had. Like, we're always tight. Flash is probably one of the best ones as well for me. Good lad. Yeah. When we first moved up, we lived in a hotel together in the Stackers. So we got to know each other really well. He was just coming back from his injury.
Yeah, well, yeah, on his injury, I mean, we obviously saw a horrendous one at the weekend. I don't know if you've seen it, Jamie, but...
No, I've seen the tackle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's horrendous. And do you know what? We had Flash on like the week before, and then that happens. You couldn't write these things, and it's the game of football, isn't it? These things happen. The lads we don't think meant to do it, but yeah, pretty horrendous. So we just want to sort of go through the timeline really with you, if you don't mind, and sort of taking us a little bit back in your life. So can you tell us a bit about your youth and where you grew up, and just a little bit about that, please?
I grew up in a place called Battersea, South London. Mum and dad, Jamaican parents and whatever, really strict. I've done the same things as everyone. I never got into trouble until later on when they went away, because they was massive on discipline.
Yeah.
So seen and not heard was their favourite phrase. Yeah. So you had to toe the line and that. But I grew up in a nice area, and we had a great community, to be fair. And then I played for my school, football and cricket, athletics. I've done every single sport, snooker and whatever. And then my mum and dad went back to Jamaica when I was 17. And that's where the problem started.
So were you living on your own then at that point? So when they went back to Jamaica, did you get your place on your own? What were you doing at the time?
No, I was living with my sister, and she lived in a place called Croydon.
Yeah.
But she was struggling for money. She just had a kid and whatever at the time. And I was working as a trainee mechanic. I was getting £50 a week. Get paid on a Friday, £50 gone. Okay. And then obviously my mum and dad's not here. And then I started getting into certain things what I'm not proud of. And then I got my first sentence. I got a 3-year sentence for robbing it was dumb, really. I robbed the snooker I used to play snooker in.
We shouldn't laugh, really. It's like encouraging, but yeah, it's mad, isn't it? It's like you don't shit on your own, I guess they say, but yeah.
But you know what? It's really, really important that your parents are around, because you lose that stability in your life.
The guidance.
Yeah, that guidance. You take it for granted a lot of the time. But when they went, there was a massive void left in my life.
So was that 17 that you went into prison then?
No, first time I went into prison, I was 19.
Yeah.
And then I got parole first time. Got done a year out of the 3 years. And then I got arrested again after 3 months of being out. And then got 4 years. And ended up going to a men's prison. And I was shitting myself when I was going in there. It's a proper men's prison, 4 years, and it was the most violent prison for the sentence I was doing on the Isle of Wight. So obviously you're thinking, fucking hell, it's a problem now.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be a blessing in disguise. You know?
Yeah, so tell us a bit about, because obviously reading a bit of your book, of course. You were in Cowes, weren't you, in Isle of Wight? And I believe that you met someone in the prison who believed you. He was a boxer, wasn't he? A boxing promoter or something like that, was it?
Ambrose Mendy. So what happened? You used to have an inter-wing competition, right? And it's big money as well. You win about £8 and what you can spend at the canteen, which is massive money in there. Right? So my winger never won it. So obviously they don't know you can play football. So I played football. They put me in the team and we won it. We pissed it. Then teams used to come in and play us. So Cowes Sports came in on Boxing Day, and I played up front, scored 2 goals against them. And they went to the governor and asked the governor if I could get let out every weekend to play for their side. So I'd only done 1 year out of my 4 years. So home leave was coming up in 4 months. So they said, listen, if you go on home leave, you come back, we'll assess it again. So I went on home leave, came back, and they started letting me out every weekend to play for the semi-pro side called Cowes. And it was a gym PO, Mr. Walder. I'll never forget him. Saved my life, you know. And they gave me a job in the gym so I can keep fit. So I was training like 5-6 times a day. You know, playing football 3 times. I was in the gym 3 times. That's all I was doing, was training and then I was playing for Cowes. And I don't care who you are, you want to get the respect of your peers. So the first game I went out, played really well. We won 2-1. And they used to get about 200-300 fans. They started getting 500-600 fans because I was playing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did it keep you out of trouble then when you were in prison? Have you got any other stories for obviously any naughty things you got up to, anything that happened while you were there that were quite fun?
Yeah, when I first got there, you're always going to get tested. And me being the youngest in there, there's a wing bully. So you have to put your name up for the phone. My name was at the top. And he's come down and rubbed my name off. And I've gone to him like, what are you doing? Don't give it unless I do ya. I'm like, well, we're going to have it now. Right. My mate was in there. We went to the table tennis room. He's keeping watch outside the door. And I've ended up knocking this geezer out. I broke my hand at the same time.
Wow. And
then he ended up grassing me up.
Did he? No way.
He ended up grassing me up. Right. And then went down the block. He got shipped out of prison. I had to go to a hospital to have an operation on my hand. I busted it really bad. And then I come back on the wing. I never had no more problems after that.
I was going to say, you'll have been the cock of the wing after that, mate. Nobody would have messed with you.
Even the screws never liked him.
Really?
Because he was rude. He tried to bully half the wing anyway. So they was kind of glad that he got that.
Yeah, it's one of them moments in life where everybody wants it to happen. And when it does, it's like they can't be pleased about it like the screws, but they are secretly like, oh, delighted, you know. So you did everything a favour, mate, you know.
Yeah.
So is there any other tales that you've got while you're in there? Anything else you can tell us?
But you know what? A lot of the people I was in prison with are still my friends today.
Really?
Yeah. Very, very good friends. Like I shared the bad times with them and they shared all the good times. Like they come to Bradford, they come to Leicester, they come all over. I bought them everywhere. Like when I got to Wembley with Leicester, I bought 90-something tickets.
Wow.
I mean,
wow.
I always keep in contact with my boys.
Love that. I love that. It's like that camaraderie, and obviously you're saying with your teammates as well. So obviously following that, who was the first professional team that you signed for? Can you tell us how that all came about?
That Ambrose Mendy was Nigel Benn and Paul Winster's agent. So he was in there doing 2.5 years, sentenced himself at the time. He said to me when I was in there, he said, listen, when you're coming home, I'm going to get you a few trials. So I was thinking, he's forgot about me or whatever. When I got my parole, because what was happening in the prison as well, TV cameras and all that was coming in to do interviews and everything. So when I got released now, TV cameras have followed me to the ferry, and he had sorted out a trial at Southend. So gone to Southend the next day, and they was very clever, the prison, because they let me out in pre-season, right? They never let me out before. They let me out pre-season, so I couldn't get in any trouble leading up to it. So next day I went to Southend. Remember Barry Fry?
Yeah. Peterborough.
He was a manager.
Yeah.
So I was there for about a month. They had really good players. Ricky Otto, Andy Answer, Chris Powell was there.
Yeah.
And them boys really took care of me as well. They was bringing him into training, looking after me. But I never got nothing there. Said, they couldn't give me nothing. They got players in my position. Then I went to Wimbledon. Then I went to Millwall. And Millwall offered me about 200 quid a week to stay in London. But the worst part was he wanted me to live in digs.
Yeah.
Free, you know what I mean? It's obviously because of my past he wanted me to live in digs, but my thing was like, nah, I can't be living in digs. If you don't trust me, then I don't want to play for you anyway. You know what I mean? And then I ended up going to Sunderland. I went to Sunderland on the Sunday, and I was homesick by the time. And I couldn't understand what they were saying as well. The accent. They put me in a hotel, the first hotel I've ever been in. Nice hotel as well, George Washington. And then I trained Monday, trained Tuesday. Terry Butcher was manager as well. Trained Wednesday, and then I played against Dirty Leeds on the Thursday.
Yeah.
Love that. Can I just say, love the fact you did that, Jamie.
And then when you played well. I played against a left back called Kevin Sharp, who had played first team games, and I terrorised him. And then the next day, Terry Butcher's called me in the office, and he's going, "You excite me, son. I'm going to sign you." And that's another thing. Like I say to young kids all the time, they give up when they've been knocked back a few times. Yeah. My mentality was like, I've been knocked back by 3. There's another 89 teams in this country. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I went back to London that weekend, came back the next week, and I signed on.
This is sometimes what happens with live shows, guys. Bear with us. Hopefully getting back.
He's going to come back, don't worry. I think not, because this is fantastic so far. I'm absolutely loving it, but he'll be back.
Yeah, I'm sure. He's probably telling us all about Sunderland at the minute.
Yeah, I know. Andy, I don't know if it's worth you. I don't know if you're there in the background. If you can maybe remove him and add him again or something. I don't know how it works, but just try that. But yeah, so far so good, guys. Have you got any questions you want to? Oh, Jamie, you're back.
Yes, man. I'm back. Yeah, I'm back.
We lost you. You're talking just about Terry Butcher and Sunderland. Can you carry on that for us, mate?
Yeah. So I went back to London. Came back up. Actually played in another game against Leicester. He put me up in the hotel again, and then signed on a Friday, and then I made my debut live on the ITV against Middlesbrough away. We lost 4-1, and then he started me on the Tuesday against Luton at home, packed Roker Park.
Yep.
1-2-0, got man of the match. Then ended up going out in Newcastle. Obviously, I'm thinking I've made it now. And I see Andy Cole out and all that. And listen, Andy Cole came up to me in the club and said, "Listen, I love your story. If you need anything, here's my number. Give me a call." Wow. Which I always, whenever I see him now, we always spend the whole night together, which I really appreciated. So then, obviously, I'm flying. I think I'm flying now. Then Terry Butcher gets the sack.
Yeah, I remember he did, didn't he?
Yeah, he got sacked, killed me. Then the reserve team manager called Mick Buxton took over. Absolute prick. Hated him. Yeah, hated him and his assistant.
Yeah.
Talking about man management and all that, they proper took the piss. And I ended up saying, listen, what happened in the first place? My nephew was admitted to hospital. I was injured anyway. So I've asked him, can I have some time off to go and see my nephew? He's gone, I'll give you 1 day. By the time you go from Sunderland to London,
yeah, it's a day already, isn't it?
The day's done already. So what I done anyway, I took 10 days off. All right. Because my family comes before anyone.
Yep.
All right. So then what's happened now? I come back, he's fined me 2 weeks' wages. So and I was on big money at the time. Right. So I was struggling. Then Ian Atkins, who was Terry Butcher's number 2, got the job at Doncaster. So they was League 2, League 2 at the time. So I rang him up and I said to him, like, I need to get out of here. I said, I'll buy you. So he bought me for 20 grand.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, 20 grand. I'm 7 months out of prison and he'd buy me for 20 grand. And at that time, I've only played 4 first-team games. Right. Then I go to Donny, play another 8 games. He gets the sack. I'm thinking I'm getting everyone the sack now. But that turned out to be a blessing. Because the season finished and then a geezer called Sammy Chung took over. Right. I was in London, come back, put me up in some house with other players and whatever. I'll come back. No one don't know you after about 8 games. So I've trained and then I've played the next day. I've made one or scored one. He's called me in the office. When they normally call you in the office, you're normally in trouble. Right? So I've gone in, he's gone, sit down. So I sat down, he's gone, what do you want to do with your career? Where do you want to go? I said, I just want to play in the Prem. He's got to, you can play in the Prem. You've got all the tools to play in the Premier League. And every team talk, he was just saying to the boys, get the ball to Jamie, take players on, get crosses in the box. And that's all I've done. And I was gone within 10 months. Leicester signed me for 300 grand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Brian Little? Was it Brian Little who signed you?
Mark McGee.
Mark McGee
signed me. I remember I was in London. My agent rang me. It was Barry Silman at the time. He's gone, listen, Leicester want to sign you. And then we went up there, had a medical next day, and I signed.
That's crazy, man. You got to just, your mind must have been like, what? You know.
Even now, I'm thinking that how I made it from there, from 3 and 4 years in prison, to being playing in the Premier League after 17 months of being released.
To be worth money as well. Like, how do you comprehend being bought like for £300,000? Even in a lot of money. Even now, it's a lot of money. Like,
it was a lot of money. And to be fair, like, I liked my time at Leicester. I enjoyed it. Started off really well. Set up the winner against Man City, and then Mark McGee weren't really fancying me. I was on the bench a lot, playing a couple of games here and there. And then he walked out and went to Wolves. And then the legend come in, Martin ONeill.
Yeah. Wow.
Proper manager. But I had my run-ins with him, mate. He put me out on a few things, mate.
But I imagine that, that was just Martin ONeill, because obviously he played a lot under Brian Clough as well. So I imagine that a lot of his management skills that he learned were
There was the same with Brian Clough.
Yeah.
But at this point, I wasn't living right at the time. Like, I was traveling from London to Leicester to train and then driving back. I was driving. With the time I was on the motorway, I should have been on the training ground practicing on my game. Because people don't realise I had never been coached until 23. I had learned everything myself. Right, but then obviously I wanted to be in London with my boys and my missus at the time and whatever. And if I had my time again, I wouldn't have done that. I'd have dedicated myself a lot more to doing that. But that was part of my makeup, Is
that one of your only regrets? Would you say like that?
That's my only regret. Yeah. Because like one time as well, like I got missing for another 10 days. on the piss. And he knew it. The gaffer knew it, right? And we had Crystal Palace in the playoff final. I've now tried to come back and try to get involved. Everyone's got the suits and all that now. I've got a suit, and he's gone, listen. He called me outside. He's gone, listen, get the suit and fuck off. I do you until next season, all right? So I'm like, all right, you got me on that one, guy. So we obviously end up winning against Palace. Stevie Claridge, last minute, and then won a lot of money out of that as well, promotion bonus and whatever. And then one thing about Martin O'Neill, never held grudges. Right? So the next season, doing well. But then we was going to a place called Tor Point, right? HMS Rally, Army Camp.
Right.
I'm meant to be at the ground for 12 o'clock. I got the wrong train and ended up getting there 12:15. They've gone. They've left me.
Wow.
Yeah. Fucking left me. Right? So the next day, I made my way to Tor Point myself. He's called me outside. He's gone, what happened? I said, the train was delayed. Nothing, yeah? Next day, I'm in a canteen. He's called me out again. He had printed out all the train time. And you fucking lying. This pre-season is going to be your hardest pre-season you've ever done in your life. He had me in the first team, reserve team, and the youth team.
Wow.
Right, for a whole month. But because I wiped my mouth and I shut my mouth and I got on with it, I was in the team all year that year. We ended up winning the League Cup as well and staying up in the Premiership comfortably.
That's funny. That's funny. As if you printed them off and brought them in.
It's not like today's times where you've got the phone, you can always get it. I mean, he's got it printed out. I'm like, got me this.
So then what happened following that then? So obviously you're playing well and you're doing well that season. What sort of happened from that point?
That was the last year of my contract.
Yeah. So
we won the cup and we stayed up comfortable. And we had a team, by the way. We had a great team. Heskey was my roomie.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, we had Lenny, Muzzy Izzet, Gary Parker, midfield, Steve Walsh, Spencer Pryor, Matty Clark, Guppy, Simon Grayson. Oh, we had a team, and Claridge up front, and Casey Keller with a proper team. But he, at the end of the year, he sat me down. He's gone, you're the hardest one. I had to think about it. He said, I want you to stay, but I can't guarantee you first team football.
Mm.
And he said, listen, have a think about it. We're at dinner on Monday. And let me know. He said, like, there's a couple teams coming for you already. And I'll let you go for 50 grand because of the good service you've done for me. So I went home, thought about it, and I said, you know what? You never know how good you can be if you don't play first team football.
Mm.
There's no chance. Any player who wants to sit on the bench all the time has no ambition. Mm. So I came back, I said to him, Gaffer, I need to go and see how good I can be. And then I was in Jamaica. My agent had messaged me about Bradford. And then I actually signed via fax from Jamaica for Bradford. Yeah.
Fax machines. Wow, that's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
What if you don't mind me asking, like contract wise, what sort of money were you on in those days when Bradford signed you? You don't have to disclose.
Yeah, got about a couple of grand, something like that, and signing on fee and whatever.
Was that good money in those days?
It's all right, but it weren't massive money because I had never been coach. I had never played that long in the game.
So and that's what taking a punt on you, I guess.
What's that?
They were like taking a gamble.
Yeah, taking a gamble on me, but really, I was a Premier League player anyway, though, coming to Bradford anyway, you know. And I played a lot of games in the Prem. Right? So then, I remember I had done nothing in Jamaica except for be on the piss with my missus. Right. So the day I come back, I've had to come pre-season at Bradford. obviously Cammy and that, gone and done my medical. And the first run we done was a canal run. I'm like, it's about 6 miles or something like that, hills. And they'd join in and they'd be at the front and all that. And I had done nothing, so I was at the back with the keepers, me and Nicky Molan. So like, it never took me long to get fit. I was about 2 weeks and I'm at the front. Then we started all right. I remember us smashing Huddersfield away as well in a game. And then things just started going wrong. And he wasn't a really good manager for me, you know. And then he got sacked, and then Paul Jewell took over, and then everything changed. Because me and Julie got on anyway. He took me for my medical.
Wow.
Paul Jewell, and he said he said it on another podcast I've done. He says he took me for the podcast for the medical, and he's come back and he's gone. Yeah, two things. He's passed his medical, but the surgeon wants second opinion on his pineapple. And I laughed. I laughed. And then me and James got on really well ever since, and that's where it started.
You were known, weren't you, for your haircuts and stuff, Jamie, back in the days.
I like to be different, mate.
Yeah, love it, mate. Well, you said goodbye my hat, mate. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
All for that.
Yeah.
So obviously at Bradford, when Joel took over, like, did you get more game time than when he was the manager because of that relationship?
Yeah, Cammy was playing me.
Yeah,
Cammy was playing me, but Julie believed in me. There's a difference, you know what I mean? Like, Jags, like, he come in the first season, obviously, he had to sell Eddie Younds to Charlton and that. And then we had all loans when he came in. And then I think we finished about 12th or something like that. And then obviously the next season, it gave me money to spend. Millsy, who else coming? Gareth Wally, player. Stephen Wright. Yeah, ranks. Toddy came in. People forget about Lee Todd.
Yeah.
Toddy came in as well. Yeah. And the whole place just changed. But remember, like, after about 8 games, they was calling for his head. All right? Yeah. I think we played Bolton live on Sky, and the rumour was going around that if we lost that, he was going to get the sack. We ended up drawing 2-2 and never looked back after that. We just had that belief. And people forget that, you know, when new players come together, it takes time to gel, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, I always remember, I think it was the game before the Bolton game, I think we lost 3-0 at Portman Road to Ipswich, and that seemed to be the turning point. We might have played maybe Sheffield United the game after, and it was 2-2, but you could see in that game, you could see how good we were starting to look, and the football we were playing. And that must have been really exciting for yourself as well with that you know, with those players. Oh,
listen, the change room was buzzing as well. We had a good change room. Never had no snakes in the change room. And it was a really good change room. It was a good place to be at the time. And, you know, we'd go 1-0 down. Never panic. We knew that we had goals in our team. Right, we had goals coming from everywhere. And if teams want to play football against us, we could play football against you. If you want to fight us, we'll fight you. Because we had everything in that change room, you know. And Big Moro was my roomie as well at the time. Blakey was on flames. Big's a magician. We just had a balance, a great balance. I'm on that side with my pace. Gareth Wally and Macca in midfield. OB, Tumble, Jakes. What a team.
Yeah, it was so obviously you mentioned that team. You mentioned about Jewell, you mentioned about Kamara. You know we're going to ask it. You know what I'm going to ask you. Richmond, tell us about him.
You know what? I got on with him. You know why? Because I was a little wide boy, wasn't I? So he loved me. He loved my character. Always loved my character. Like, he always had kind words to say about me. I got on really well. He done well for Bradford as well, like, to get us into the Premier League. I mean, he done well. And then he had, what's he call it, 10 months of madness. Yeah?
6 weeks, the 6 weeks of madness.
It wasn't even months, it was weeks.
Like, Benny on 40, Dan Petescu on 27. Come on, man. Like, what we needed at the time, we needed a few younger players with legs, and then we would have been all right. And the biggest thing that we lost, though, was Jagger. The gaffer went. And like when he walked out, I was gutted. Because he made.
Yeah, I mean, he mentions in one of his books or something like that where he was sat down with Jeffrey Richmond and they were talking about the season.
Yeah.
Apparently, Richmond said, "We've had a poor year this year."
That's what I said to him. And he said, "I ain't taking this on." We walked. We'd just beat Liverpool last game of the season to stay up in the Premier League. All right, they were looking to go in the Champions League. All right,
yeah,
and we battered them that day as well. I think that's one of my best days in the Bradford shirt because it's one of the toughest as well for me. Because leading up to it, like I'd been out injured 5.5 weeks. I broke my jaw both sides, and then leading up to the game on the Wednesday, I found out that my dad was dying. So I went into the gaffer, I said to the gaffer, "I don't think I can play, gaffer." And he's gone, "Listen, do it for your dad." And I played like a man possessed. That's the only team talk I needed. And then afterwards, it killed me. Did come in the change room, all the boys celebrating. They don't know what's going on with me at this time.
Yeah.
And he's come over. He's gone to me like, he's gone, "That's for your dad." done me right up. He did. Tears streaming down. Yeah, that's what man management was all about. Yeah. And that's when Bradford started going backwards when he left, because he would have bought them players. There's no chance he would have got them players in.
Nah.
Well, it's ruined us, didn't it? To be honest with you, and
still now, yeah, still now,
yeah.
Still playing catch up. You know what I mean?
Like we don't own a stadium, we don't own training grounds, nothing. It's just everything chasing its tail a little bit. So yeah, I mean, the other thing I wanted to ask you, Jamie, is about your haircuts, mate, because you did mention it before on the pineapple. Lisa sing it to you, I think, but Al's got a pineapple on his head or whatever.
Yeah.
So what do you know at Bradford? You had all these different colours, and it was fantastic. Was there any reason behind any of them, or did you just like?
It's just like I had a little bit of fun into the football. The gaffer weren't impressed when I first done it, by the way. Right? I'll come in, he's gone, "What the fuck do you think you are? Fucking Spiceware." He was not impressed. I just added a little bit to the game, a little bit of colour to the game, and that, you know. But like, if I was a tippy-tappy player, then I would have probably got more stick.
Yeah.
Because of the way I played, I got away with it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's a bit of the Dennis Rodman, you know. That's kind of what I mentioned to you earlier, like the Dennis Rodman of football in those days.
And that's what the gaffer says. He said he knew that I used to love socialising.
Yeah.
But he never wanted to take it away from me because that was part of my makeup. Yeah. But just to know when to do it.
Yeah. And talking about your socialising, I've got a question to ask you, and I think you know what's coming here. About this moment in Cammy's office, mate. Can you tell us about it? The video.
A bit embarrassing, really. Well, probably. I was seeing this stripper at the time when I first got to Bradford and that, and then actually ended up making a film with her. Making a porno with her, and then brought it in for all the boys to watch in Cammy's office. Yeah. Watched it and then smashed up the video.
It's one of the youth players that mentioned it to, a City fan. He said, just make sure you ask him that, because I don't think many people know about it. But yeah,
it was Flash who asked him use Cammy's room.
I mean, just talking on that subject, is there any other funny stories about your time at Bradford and the camaraderie, things like that? Anything else you can think of?
Not off the top of my head. There was too many funny times at Bradford.
Yeah.
So, well, obviously, you must have heard the story about me in Iron Apple.
Well, tell us.
Yeah, please tell it. Please tell it. Anyone who hasn't heard this is brilliant. This is brilliant.
I've done all pre-season. The boys we're getting sent kits like tomorrow. Yeah. So I'm winning every race. I'm on Gunnar Haller's shoulder. I'm beating him on the 400. I'm kicking away from him on the fair. The last run, I pulled my quad. So I've gone to Yorkshire Clinic. They say, "Oh, you're going to be out for 5-6 weeks." Gaffer's gone to me, "You can't come send kits." So I'm like, fuck this. I'd met a bird in Iron Apple. Yeah. So you lot getting sent kits, you want me to stay in Yorkshire? Yeah, that's a good one. So I booked a flight to Napa. Right. So I'm out in Napa, I've had a good time, and that was this bird. Come back now. We've had a photo shoot. Gaffer's pulled me. He's gone, "Jay, I need a word." He's gone, "2 things. I'm going to ask you a question. If you lie to me and I find out you're lying, you'll never play for me again, and I'll fine you 2 weeks' wages. If you tell me the truth, I'll fine you 2 weeks' wages. Was you in Iron Apple?" "Yes, Gaffer." Someone had wrote a letter in saying that he saw Jamie Lawrence on a balcony in Iron Apple with a bottle of champagne and a young lady. But he never ended up finding me. He never found me.
Really? Because you told the truth?
Could have told the truth.
You know what? That says it all, doesn't it? Telling the truth.
Thought I'd heard it was someone like associated with the club or an official or something that had seen you on the beach, but no, it was a fan that had actually grassed you up.
Someone had grassed me up, yeah.
Imagine grassing your own players up like that. That's just mad.
No, it's one of the public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a belter. Yeah. I can imagine though, like all your mates are going, all the teammates going away on holiday, and you're thinking, "Nah, I'm not missing out here."
No chance. Caribbean they're going to. I've worked my bollocks off, got in the best shape ever, and you're going to to the Caribbean and you're leaving me in Yorkshire.
Mad. Not having any that way, mate. I'm actually flying to Napa next week. I'm getting married there, not on the strip, of course.
Okay.
I'll be telling old people in the hotel. Jamie Lawrence won that balcony once, and he got photoed there. Even though it wasn't a bit the same hotel, but I'm going to.
Napa used to be the nuts. That was my favourite holiday.
Bit calmer now, isn't it, than it used to be? I think.
Yeah. People go other places now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like Marbella or whatever. I don't like Marbella no more.
No, it's too pretentious in it. But yeah, Iron Apple is some place, mate. It's still a good place. It's still brilliant. So yeah, I'll let you know how that one goes. So obviously there's loads to speak about. We could be here for hours and hours. So just a couple of bits about your views on the club right now in its current state. Do you feel like we're going to do anything this season? What are your thoughts, mate?
Well, I haven't even seen none of them pre-season games, but they drew on Saturday, didn't they?
Yeah.
But hopefully Mark Hughes is the right man for the job. But my only thing is that does he know the league? You know what I mean? And you need to know this league to get out of it. And the players, for me, they need to be brave because teams come to a Valley Parade and it's their cup final. Mm-hmm. So they've got to stand up and be counted every time and not shrink when there's a big crowd.
Yeah, so it's a good point. I think that, we saw it on Saturday where we just couldn't break them down, and teams are going to come and do that every game this season.
That's what they're going to do. They're going to have their 2 backs of 4. You know what I mean? And you've got to be able to break them down. And that's what we would always break teams down because we had wide men who would go past people and fullbacks who go and join in. You've got to play expansive football to break teams down.
Yeah. And it's exciting football. You've got to run at your fullbacks, and I just don't think we saw that a lot at the weekend.
Don't disappoint them. They expect you to take them on. Don't disappoint them.
Yeah.
All it takes is for you to get past them once, and it could be a goal.
Yeah. Absolutely. And there were 19,000 fans cheering you on as well. It's just we should be making more of it.
Some people, they will under that sort of pressure. I used to love it.
Yeah.
Bigger games, the better I played.
Yeah. And the more colourful your hair were as well, I guess, for the bigger games as well. You loved all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So obviously you did mention earlier about gelling, and we've got 15 new players that have come in. So I guess that we've got to be a little bit patient, for them to get used to each other.
It's gonna take time. And like the season's not won now, is it?
No.
Exactly.
You'll know more by Christmas.
Absolutely. We did last season as well when Derek Adams got sacked, but we won't talk about that one too much because I've talked enough about Derek Adams.
I watched a few games under him and I couldn't understand his tactics.
Mad.
Yeah. It's set up not to lose. You know what I mean? That's not Bradford. You know?
No, especially at home. I mean, we had games where we were winning 1-0 and then we'd sit back. It's like, what are you doing? And then we'd end up losing the game. And it was just bonkers. We've never seen that at home as a Bradford City fan, really, for years and years. We haven't. It's just not our way, is it?
No, it's not our way, man. Listen, fans they'll always forgive you if you have a goal. You know?
That's it.
It's interesting you mentioned Jamie because obviously we're talking about Bradford and you mentioned we then. So I want to ask you, for anybody who doesn't really know, why is Bradford special to you?
Like it was just like the whole vibe of coming to Bradford, the fans, the city. This is where I found how good I could be at football, right? And all the good times what we had together, like getting promoted, staying up, even the bad times, because we all stuck together. Even the players stuck together. We come together, and I wouldn't have left if it weren't for the money. I would never have left. I would have stayed for a lot longer. Because it just felt like home.
Did you finally feel settled in Bradford then? Is that what it was? Or
yeah, I was settled in Bradford and I became an ultimate professional as well at Bradford. And I became a big part of the changing room.
Yeah, and I think like the fans have obviously absolutely love you. And the fact that you support the club and you openly say that on Twitter and you love promoting us on Twitter and following us when we're at Wembley and all that kind of stuff. And it's really nice as fans to see ex-pros doing that because it doesn't happen a lot because obviously people have their own teams and things like that. But Bradford is your team.
I love Bradford. I even go on pre-season tours. I go all over the place. And, it's my team from now on in.
Yeah. I always remember seeing you at Villa Park in the second leg in the League Cup, and it was in fact I think I don't know if you were with him, but you were near Peter Jackson as well because Jacko was there as well.
Jacko's a good lad as well, man. Really good lad. But that team, Gary Jones and all that, they're the best team I've watched since us lot.
Yeah,
agreed.
They had that bit of camaraderie as well, and they worked their bollocks off as well.
Agreed.
Where do you think it came from at that time? Do you think it came from the actual players, or do you think it was the manager? Like, what creates that environment?
It's both. The manager has to bring in the right players in.
Yeah.
Right. And then the players have to be big enough, which they was, to play in front of that Bradford City crowd. And they had a bit of everything in that team as well. Yeah, they did. Absolutely. Everything that you wanted, all the ingredients, that like Reedy you had, flying up. I know Kyle and I know Zav as well. So,
What happened to Zavon Hines? Because when he was
with coaching at West Ham. He's coaching at West Ham. He had to retire because of his knee.
Right.
Coaching at West Ham. Good lad. He used to train with me.
Yeah, good player.
I remember seeing the videos actually.
Yeah. Great attitude.
Yeah, really exciting player in his time as well. It just seemed to disappear all of a sudden, and that's
injuries killed him. He had 2 bad knee injuries.
It's a shame, and it's just part of football, though, isn't it? We're not built to do it every week and week out. The intensity of the training and stuff nowadays is mad. I mean, you look at us last season, all the injuries we had pre-season and things.
I don't think players are as fit as when we played.
Really?
I don't think so. I train so much of them now. And they're actually pussies. Right? They are.
Yeah.
I'm still beating them.
Do you think it's because they've got other things that like the gaming and all that sort of stuff? Do you think they're just busy doing stuff, or is it just what do you think it is?
Sports scientists give people an excuse how hard to train. Right. But the boys I train, I tell them all the time, the one thing you're in control of is how fit you be. Yeah. Right? You can never be too fit.
No. I think that's one thing in it, like this season, that we're hopefully going to see as the season moves on. Like, because I think last season we looked at the second half of games and we seemed to just drop off and the fitness were off. But has COVID had something to do with that, possibly? Has that affected things?
Nah, I don't think so. Like, if you're a professional athlete, you shouldn't be dying in games. You should have that personal pride where you think, you know what, I ain't done enough in training today. I'm going to go and train. That's what I done when I was at Bradford. I'll leave training and go and train.
Yeah.
All right, because I knew my game. I was I had to be fit to play my game.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
You had to run, didn't you? You did a lot of running as well. Like you were just always busy. Talking about obviously fitness, and this fits in with another question I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Would you ever want to work at Bradford City in like a coaching role in this sort of thing, or is it not something that would interest you?
I'll walk to Bradford.
Would you?
Yeah. I would walk there. I would love to. I'd love to work at Bradford.
Have you ever applied or anything before? Have you ever sort of put your CV across or done anything?
There's been a couple conversations.
Yeah.
But they've not followed it through.
For me, it'd be just an obvious choice because of the passion that you've got, the stories that you've got. You played when we were at the highest we've ever been.
Yeah.
I just don't see why they wouldn't entertain that. I think it'd be fantastic for everybody. You'd be a fantastic addition.
And I've worked on the international stage. Ghana.
Yeah.
Been to a final and semi-final. The players love me at Ghana. At first, they weren't buying into it at first. They're thinking, who the fuck is this nutter?
Yeah.
Right? But when we went to the tournament and started winning games late on and battering teams, they believed in it.
Yeah. Because of
you mentioned about the international. I'm going to ask because I'd forgotten to ask it, but obviously you were an international footballer as well. So tell me about that.
Mate, I got called up after the Liverpool game, right? But they actually withdrew the invitation because of my criminal past. It was a taking of his. But then the Jamaica public started getting involved. It was on TV out there. They started voting and whatever. And at that time, I brought my dad over from Jamaica to see if they could give him any help in the hospital over there. And the Jamaica public kicked up a fuss. The president of the Football Federation has ended up flying over to England to see my dad on his deathbed and telling him that I'm going to be reinstated and I will play for Jamaica. And that's where the story began.
Love that.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have happened, but I like the fact that, your dad found that out,
Yeah, he found that he died proud.
That's it, yeah, which is lovely, really. I mean, it should have happened, but so then what? First game? I mean,
Trinidad at home.
Yeah. Dwight York playing.
Yeah, Dwight York and Stern John played up front.
Wow.
And then I remember Ricardo Gardiner. I was on the bench.
Yeah.
He got knocked out after 15 minutes. So I've come on now. 100 and something degrees. It put me on at fucking wing back. Yeah. Cheers. We ended up winning 1-0 though. So great start. And added bonus, my mum was there to watch it.
Nice.
Yeah, so I made someone go and pick her up at her house, bring her to the stadium to watch it. They ended up winning 1-0.
Was it a qualifier that? Was it a friendly or qualifier?
No, it was a qualifier, World Cup qualifier.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I loved playing for Jamaica. Met some good friends there as well. Ended up playing against Brazil as well.
Yeah.
Champions. Yeah. Played against Ronaldo and all that as well, like Rivaldo, Kaká, Zerabel, Carlos, Cafu. And we only lost 1-0.
How was that? How was that playing against those players?
Mate, just imagine I was a prison number PN 2991 Lawrence, and then I'm playing against the world champions.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. It was a madness, mate. I was like,
who was the best player you played against? I imagine it's probably one of those.
R9.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ronaldo, the real Ronaldo, I'll call him.
Real Ronaldo. I'm with you on that.
People forget about it. He was just unbelievable.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a joke. But the whole team was a joke. Normally, where I was playing defensive mid. I would have one man where I mark. There's normally a danger man. I would mark him. Mate, my head was like that. They was just rotating. There's 4 of them coming in there, and I'm like, fucking hell. This is what football's really about.
Yeah. Was obviously you scored a couple of goals as well for Jamaica. So have you got like a favourite goal?
I scored one against America.
USA,
yeah, left foot, left foot against Casey Keller as well, my ex-teammate. But then I ended up breaking my hand and breaking my arm in the same game.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that was a bad break. I had to have an operation on it.
That's great. Well, I think going back to City, I think there's another question I want to ask you. So, what was your favourite goal you scored for Bradford? In fact, actually, what's your favourite all-time goal that you scored in your career? Sorry, yeah.
Probably the one against Norwich.
Oh, my favourite, Jamie.
Yeah.
I love that goal. Love that goal. Tell us about that goal. Tell us about it all.
You know what? It's funny as well. Craig Bellamy pulled me in a nightclub years after it. He's kind of, I remember you dumping me in the mud. So all I remember is just picked up the ball in the centre midfield. I drove, took a good first touch. I've gone across him. He's tried to bring me down. I just shrugged him off in the mud, and it just opened up. And then I'm through on goal with the keeper and just slotted it. I was just like, but when I watch it back in slow motion and that, it looks better than at the time when I've done it.
Yeah, love that. Oh, we've got a comment. Love the trumpet celebration against West Ham. Somebody said.
Yeah, they scored a left footer there, and yeah, a little tap in there. That was created in Iron Upper.
Was it? Was it?
DJ Spoonie, like obviously all the players are in there. So listen, this is the celebration. What you do when you score this season. So all the boys were doing it. Heskey, everyone was doing it.
Yeah.
And then I think another goal was a goal against Gillingham. A chip from 30 yards.
Is that the 5-1 game? 5-1?
I think it was 4-1 or something like that. Cad scored a couple in that game as well.
Yes, he did. It was his debut, wasn't it?
Yeah, his debut. Him and Ashley Ward up front. Terrorised them.
4-0. I think it was 4-0, I want to say.
It was 4-1. Oh, 4-0, yeah?
I might be wrong, but I remember that game. Debut, he definitely scored 2 goals that game.
Yeah, and then I scored a chip from 30 yards.
Yeah, that game, so talking about West Ham, I don't these seems to have messed up a little bit, Chris. I don't know if Andy can sort them out, but we're all sort of messed up on the screen, I think. The game against West Ham, mate, that were a bit bonkers. Can you tell us about that? Because that must have been weird to play in.
Yeah, it was bad. Like, to lose 5-4 was hard to take after we was up 4-2. And we should have been 5-2 up, by the way, because Dean Saunders had gone through 1-on-1. All we had to do is square it to Potato Face Windass, and then we would have been 5-2 up. Yeah? It actually kicked off in the change room after. Because of but that's how passionate we was as a team. But what a game. And the Canio on the halfway line wanting to come off. I wish they took him off.
Just whinging about everything, wasn't he? And then he demanded to be taken off because
he should have had a couple of penalties, though, to be fair to him.
Yeah, he definitely should have had a couple of penalties. Game, I was there, and that was. I think that's probably one of the most bizarre games I've ever seen. It was just end to end, and.
But you don't remember their team, England internationals in the end. You know what I mean?
Lampard, wasn't it?
Lampard, Ferdinand. You know what I mean? Proper player, Joe Cole. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Joe Cole's player, wasn't he? Really good player, Joe Cole.
Was Lampard played in that game, didn't he?
Yeah, Lampard scored. Didn't remember they was arguing about the penalty.
That's what it was. Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah. So what a game that was.
So in the Prem, like, who were the best player you played against in the Premier League? Would you say?
Henry.
Oh yeah.
Gaffer done me up. He done me up anyway. I weren't happy with him in that game. When we played him at Highbury, played me right back to mark him.
Wow.
So I had pace.
Yeah.
But he knocked the ball past me in the first 2 minutes. I'm thinking this is going to be a fucking long night. And then he come off and Overmars come on.
Oh.
And I was like, thanks. It really done me up. But that team there, they battered us 2-0. I don't think we got out of our half.
No, we didn't. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it was embarrassing how good they were.
Do you know what? They scored at Valley Parade as well, Henry. I just remember every just cheered because it was just. Yeah,
it was a great goal. But then we beat them 2-1, didn't we?
We did. We beat
them 2-1.
Is that the one where was it Windass scored that little cheeky free kick when they weren't watching?
And Dean Saunders scored the winner.
He did. Through Stephen's legs as well.
Yeah. What game that was. And then I had to mark Bergkamp for the last 20 minutes.
The 3 players you mentioned there, you had to mark. That's mad, isn't it? It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's top quality. That team were just bonkers.
Yeah, it's a joke, man.
This is obviously on the other side of the coin. So we've talked about players that you enjoyed playing. Was anybody that you didn't get on with when you played with them at the time, Bradford or elsewhere?
Never got on with Windass.
Didn't you? You called him potato face. I picked up on that.
Yeah. No, we're all right now.
Yeah.
But never with him, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What reason? Just don't like each other's sort of personality, or just didn't click, or?
No, he's a prick. He was a prick at the time. All right. Most of the boys would tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
And we never had snakes in the change room. You know what I mean? And he was bordering on being a snake at the time.
Yeah. You won't suffer fools, will you, Jamie? I'm surprised you didn't whack him like you did that fella in prison, but you know, got away with one there, mate.
He nearly got it, to be fair, mate.
Yeah, love that. Yeah. Anybody else in your career that you've mentioned a couple of managers as well, but is anybody else that you just didn't click with?
Martin Allen when I was at Bradford.
Right.
Yeah, not a nice man, to be fair. Like, he's a bit of a bully because I can't be bullied, and that he never wanted in the team. You know what I mean? So he got rid of me, and he got rid of Andy Myers because he couldn't bully us.
Right.
And that's why he never ever went higher as a manager. Because when you go higher and the players have got more about them, they're not going to take your bullshit.
Yeah,
exactly right. You've either got to be like top, if you like Alex Ferguson, somebody like that, to be able to just say what you want, or
the club and all that. But they got respect. They know how to treat people as well, mate.
Yeah, for sure.
You just mentioned Andy Myers, and it's just reminding me of the story of I can't remember. I think he played in that game, Jamie. But correct me if I'm wrong. You might have gone out on loan, but
no,
Leeds United game, with
him and Stuart, yeah. Oh, fucking hell. It's embarrassing. It was all kicking off in the change room at half time as well, man. Fucking hell. It was quite embarrassing, really, to be honest.
What was going on then? Tell us about what happened. What was it? I mean, obviously we're getting beat, but
we were getting battered, weren't we? And then I don't think Mac tracked his runner. Andy said something to him, and Mac has come up, stuck his head into Andy, and Andy's chinned him. And then cut his eye open, and then all hell broke loose in the change room at half time.
Did it split the team at the time? Like, did you know?
But it split anyway because Jim Jeffries was manager at the time.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah, and he tried to get rid of me a few times.
Right.
A few of them tried to get rid of me. Chris Hutchins tried to get rid of me, but in the end, all wanted to play me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When the going got tough, they wanted me to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Jim Jeffries, weren't the best. That's an understatement of years.
Yeah, we struggled a little bit, didn't we?
Nicky Lord, didn't he?
Yeah,
I think it was it Hopkin who said when he was in training, and he said something like, "We're not playing in the Scottish second division now. This is proper training," and he just didn't have a clue. He was absolutely useless, apparently. That's what he said.
I don't know how he got the job. Because there's proper candidates out there at the time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know?
Betty Voigt, I want to say, was linked to a bit at the time as well.
Yeah, I know. It's a joke, mate. I never enjoyed it under him. He tried to sell me to loads of teams.
When he came in, to be fair, Jamie, he said, I think it was his first press conference, and he'd come in, I want to say it was like November time, and he said, "We've already gone down." And it was like, you've got no fight already, and you're already saying it's November time. Oh, well, the club are going down. I mean, that can't have been good for you footballers, right?
Well, we weren't listening to him anyway. The boys never used to listen to him, especially Dean Saunders. Dean Saunders used to take the piss out of him all the time, like shout, because he had Billy Brown there as well, and they shout at the top of the corridor, "Billy who?" I'm like, fucking hell. They tried to sell him to they tried to get him to go to Dundee. Yeah. So they come in now. They've gone, Dundee want to talk to you, and he's gone, What, do they want a chairman?
Yeah.
Dino, funniest footballer I've ever had the pleasure of. Yeah, oh mate, his wit is a joke.
He's on Talk Sport, isn't he now? He's presenting on there now. Comes across well.
He's done a lot for my career as well. Helped me. Him and Flash give me that little belief.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Flash will sit me down and say, Jay, you don't realise what you do for this team.
Really?
And Dean Saunders, imagine hearing from Dean Saunders as well. Dean Saunders said, listen, we don't do well if you're not in the team.
Mm-hmm.
You're our legs. You know what I mean?
So to hear that from them pros, you know, you just mad.
Yeah.
Like you say, from where you came from as well, you must be thinking, like, pinching yourself, thinking this is bonkers.
Yeah, and I used to support Liverpool, innit? And then he played for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my...
Of course, yeah. Early 90s, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
just before we sort of finish up, because I know you've got your life to get back to, Jamie, I could speak to you all day. I'm sure Chris would echo that. Just going to sort of read some the questions out from fans. So if you've got any questions for Jamie, put them on the comments on YouTube, and we'll get them read out. We'll try and pick some good ones. This one's a little bit daft, but I'll ask you anyway. So they're asking, so Craig Whitaker's saying, in your time at City, who was the best and who was the worst dressed footballers?
Blakey's got to be up there.
Yeah.
What, the worst?
That's the worst, yeah. Probably Andy Myers would be up there. I used to love my clothes.
Yeah.
Andy Myers would be up there.
So you were the best? Is that what you're saying, Jamie? You were the best.
You know.
What style, mate?
Yeah, I love my clothes. Though.
Yeah. And a couple of other questions as well. So is it true you used to walk to the ground through town with your boots in your hand?
No. I was a good boy. Yeah.
Getting to the ground in your Range Rover or something instead, weren't you, mate? Yeah. So that's just one question that came up.
Yeah.
I'm just going to see if there's any more that come through as well. And Chris, have you got any questions for Jamie while we're waiting?
Yeah, I want to ask you, because obviously you mentioned Flash a couple of times, and obviously we did the podcast with him last week.
Yeah.
You mentioned that it sounds, in some ways, you've got not completely similar careers, but he obviously left Sheffield Wednesday because he was partying. He left Southampton, and when he came to Bradford, he said that he had to settle down and he had to reel about his career. So was that kind of the things that he was trying to tell you, that you just need to settle down and concentrate on that?
No, I knew I had to settle down, especially after the first season, where I was at the back of all the running. Right, the next season off, I never took a holiday. Right, I trained 6 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and 12 o'clock at night, and I timed all my runs. I was in the gym, and then I came back. After 2 weeks, the gaffers called me in the office, give me a 4-year contract.
Wow.
And then the next season, the same thing happened. And then every off season, I've done the same thing. I just kept myself fit.
You were always dynamite down that way, Jamie, and I just loved how you take people on, but with such ease and just such confidence as well. Because that wasn't originally how you used to play. Where did that come from? The confidence as well to run forwards.
No, I always took people on, but I used to play centre midfield for the teams I played for. But when I went out there, I was like, you know what? What's the worst that can happen? And then I had that manager, Sammy Chung, telling me, you got all the ability in the world. Go at them. Keep going at them. And more times than not, I would wear people down because of how fit I was. You know? They'd be tiring, and I would still be going.
Incredible. Someone just put, still keep in touch with DJ Spoonie and MC Neat. Love listening to them on Galaxy 105 on a Friday night.
I'm always in contact with Spoonie still. Yeah.
What about DJ Look and MC Neat? Did you do out with them too back in the day?
You haven't mentioned that yet.
Who's that?
DJ Look and MC Neat?
Nah, nothing with them, nah.
Who did you knock about? So obviously Spoonie. Who else back in those days did you knock about a bit?
Michael Dewberry.
Yeah.
Obviously Andy Myers. Ranks. Gareth Grant. People don't remember Gareth Grant. Yeah. Ashley Westwood.
Yeah.
Aidan Davison. Funny as fuck. Nutter. The keepers are always nutters anyway, aren't they?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, who else was there? In our little crew. That's about it, really.
Did you just go on holidays and stuff together then? I mean, did you go abroad?
The boys used to go same destination most years, like Iron-Apple and whatever.
Yeah.
So we meet up out there.
But you get away with it, wouldn't you?
Jordy Morris out there, Frank Sinclair.
Yeah.
Frank Sinclair, yeah. But did you get away with more because social media wants, Twitter, Facebook?
Oh, yeah. I don't think I could play in today's game. Yeah. I'll be ruined. The thing I get up to.
Mad. Yeah, some partying back then, I imagine.
Yeah, proper partying. I used to party on a Sunday, and then there's a place called Coliseum in London, and then I'll get a cab all the way back to training, straight to training, and win all the running.
Wow.
And then go home and die.
It's crazy. I mean, you look at Grealish now, and he's just, they pap him all over. He's just enjoying himself, isn't he? And what are your thoughts on that? Like, I
don't think Pep will have that for too long.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you're not doing it on the pitch as well.
True.
So, when you look at it now, do you think it's a bad thing that he's doing now? Do you think he should do what he wants? I mean, what are your thoughts? Because you were a bit of a party man in your day.
No, but listen, at the top level where he's at, them thin little things, count so much.
Yeah.
Like, if you're doing it, like I watched him against Liverpool the other day, he never went past the fullback once. Got the ball and turned back, passed it back. All right. So if you're partying and you're not performing, something's got to give.
Yeah. I guess you've got to back it up on the pitch, and if you are doing it, like
Martin O'Neill said that to me. He said, listen, you're big men. I don't care what you do off the pitch, but if it affects what you do on it, then there's a problem.
Yeah.
All right.
For sure. And last question. I mean, somebody's asked a bit of a different question, but about your haircuts. What was your favourite haircut when you played, mate?
Probably the purple.
Yeah.
Beat Liverpool the last game of the season.
Love that.
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody, well, apart from, like I said, Dennis Rodman, that I think you were the only two people I've ever seen with purple hair as a man.
Yeah. I had all the colours in red also.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah. Red was against West Ham when I scored the 2.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Owen's asking, who was the best player you've played with on your team? I don't know if I've asked you that already, but I'll ask you again.
Heskey, well, country more.
So he got a lot of stick, didn't he, Heskey?
Like, I don't know why.
Unfair stick, mate. Like, all the players what played with him, they'll tell you the same thing, mate. Like, Michael Owen says he's the best strike partner of all time.
Yeah.
I've never understood the abuse that Heskey used to get, because you look at him in the England team, and he scored a lot of goals for us. Leicester, he was phenomenal. Liverpool, he was. Really don't get the abuse that he was getting. He was a phenomenal footballer.
Yeah, it was unbelievable for us. Like, it was just a handful. Like, when you're under pressure and you play it in the channel and that, and they just hold it up and take you out the pitch and take the pressure off you. Unbelievable. He's my roomie as well. He's a good pal of mine. He was only 17 when he came into that Leicester team.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Big blood, though, wasn't he, as well? Like, he even when he was younger.
Distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, quick, strong, brave as well. The only thing, sometimes he was too nice.
Yeah.
It's only when people upset him that you saw the angry side.
I heard he was a confidence player, that he needed management to tell him he was good. Is that true? Or is that...
Martin O'Neill was like that, though. He'll be like that to him. You're the best player in the world. And I remember one day on the bus and all that, he's gone, come here, son, put your shoes up. And he'd wipe his shoes and that. He said, you're the best player in the world, mate. And he believed it.
Yeah. But that's what players need, don't they? That arm round them a little bit sometimes and telling them stuff like that.
Some do. Jagger was opposite with me.
Yeah.
Jagger would come in on a Thursday and go, fucking hell, son. I watched last week's game. You got roughed up, didn't you? And he'll walk away and he'll laugh in his head off. But he knows he's got steam coming out my ears. And you watch on Saturday, I'll show you about got roughed up.
Knew what we were doing. Did you ever go out in Bradford?
Yeah. I used to always go out in Bradford.
Did you?
Yeah, I used to go to the park me flashing all that. Park was ladies' day, and they never used to have to pay for a drink. Huh?
Right.
So that's where I was going. All JBs and all that as well.
Yeah.
That's the first time I met Mark Lawn in JB's.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously he weren't chairman at the time. It was Jeffrey, and he always says it to me to this day. He's gone, I remember you came in there. I sat you down, and I asked you, "Do you think we can get in the Premier League?" And I said to him, I never left Leicester not to get back in the Premier League. And it always reminds me to that day.
And do you speak to him nowadays? Or
I speak to Mark Lawn all the time.
Yeah.
I like Mark Lawn. Top man for me. I go in his box when I go to the games.
I'm going to say, are you going to come to any games this season? And have you got any plans?
Yeah, I'll be at games.
Brilliant. It'd be nice to
meet to meet up as well and have a beer, Jamie.
Yeah, have a nice Guinness, mate.
Guinness, yeah.
I don't know if we can get this man taking us out. It sounds like a right animal, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love a Guinness, mate. Can drink it all day. Yeah.
Love that. Well, look, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you. I'm sure Chris would echo this, but we could sit and speak all night, mate. But you've got your life to live, so thank you very much for coming on, mate. And we'll always love you every day.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Take care, mate, and hopefully we'll have you on again at some point.
Bye, everyone.
Cheers, mate. Thanks, Jamie.
Bye.
Take care, mate. Bye.
Bye.